All right, good to see you. This is Kyle McMurray. And listen, before we get started, we're going to be talking today about the one system that we've seen time and time again get new customers in the door consistently, predictably. And if you're really interested in building one of these for your business, there's an event coming in about a little less than 2 weeks on August 5th. There's a link below. You can click on that and learn more about it. But it will actually have you build one of these things that we're going to talk about today in about 30 days without expensive designers, just a super cool walk you from A to Z on how to build one of these things for your business, which consistently wins customers in, day out. Doesn't matter if you're sleeping, doesn't matter if you're hanging out with your wife. This is an amazing thing. So if you want that, you can go ahead and click on that. And listen, if we haven't met before, my name's Kyle McMurray, and I'm the founder of Grow Now Marketing, where we actually build predictable selling systems like this for our customers. So maybe not perhaps the way you're thinking, but just the same, we do it. And we're going to talk about that in a second. All right, so let's get started here. And again, before I forget, and don't remind you to do this, because I know some people asked about this before, if you want to talk for a free one-on-one strategy session, go ahead and go to the Facebook page and Grow Now Marketing Facebook page and click on the link. You can schedule a free strategy session, 15 minutes. Well, we'll go through and we'll talk about if one of these is appropriate for your business. It usually is. In fact, almost any business can use this to get customers consistently in the door. So let's talk about this. When clients come to me, a lot of times they come to me, and even though they have already six-figure businesses and they've got a good email list, they've got content, they're really committed to getting results, definitely. But they're having a tough time with consistently getting leads in the door. And therefore, it makes them feel a little nervous. They're never quite sure. Are they going to be able to make payroll? And it's also pretty frustrating because they feel like they should be able to figure this out. They've got a decent business already. Why can't they just get a good system? And a lot of times it's because they're not seeing something. They're seeing something from the inside without being able to look at it from the outside. So, what do I mean by that? All right. So, listen, by the way, if that sounds like you, if you think that's me, that's really familiar, don't feel bad. This happens to us all. This is a very difficult thing to kind of pull off, and that's one of the reasons why we're doing this live today, so we can make it a lot easier to give you an idea of how this could actually be the ticket to getting a consistent flow of leads and sales into your business month after month after month. All right? So, here's what I tell them when they come to me and they say we can't get a consistent flow. I usually say, I think you're probably asking for too much too soon. So what does that mean? Well, being business online especially is a lot like dating, right? So if you saw an attractive woman, you or attractive man, you wouldn't walk up to them and go, "Hi, I want to get married to you right now." It's crazy. There's actually a bunch of steps, several steps that you have to take to get to the marriage part. In fact, in the 70s, a zoologist named Desmond Morris actually codified this on how human beings go from not knowing each other all the way to raising families. And there's actually 12 steps. We're not going to go into that today, but if you want to Google it, Google 12 Steps of Intimacy by Desmond Morris. I think you'll be pretty amazed at this. And this is extremely consistent. Now in business, we're not trying to raise a family, so it's a little bit less than that, and that's why we're doing this live right now to show you how you can do it in a few less steps. Let's put it that way, about a third, all right, or at least half. So here's the thing: when somebody comes to your business and you say you sell a $10,000 coaching or $5,000 product, if you hit them up with immediately, they come to your website and you're saying, "Hey, why don't you buy my thing right now?" That's a lot like asking for marriage at the first date. Now, this is an idea I got from Ryan Deiss from Digital Marketer, and I found it to be extremely true, that so many businesses are doing this. And in dating, you wouldn't do this, right? So online, one of the things that I've discovered over the last 10 years is things that work offline tend to work online. Things that don't work offline tend to not work online. And this is one of them. Right? So asking people for marriage on the first date or to go home with you on the first date doesn't really work. And it doesn't work in business either. So you've got to have some kind of bait. Now, we've talked about this before. If you remember, 3 things every business needs. 1, an offer that everybody wants, a highly desirable offer. A sales process for selling that offer. And then 3, traffic to bring to that sales process or to that offer. That's it. So today we're going to be talking all about the sales process. And again, before I forget, if you want to learn how to build one of these things in 30 days, right, from start to finish, 30 days from right now, you could have your own very own predictable selling system that you created without the use of designers or anything else. You want to click on the link that's above here, and you can go there and find out more about this. It's called the 30-Day Challenge, run by a brilliant marketer named Russell Brunson, who's become the first person, I believe, in history to ever reach $100 million for his company in 3 years without any outside money. And we're not talking about that he threw all of his money into it, mortgaged his house. We're talking about self-funding through the sale of the product. Pretty amazing. You can find out more about that when you click. All right, so let's get back into this. So what is this? This is something we call some people call a tripwire offer. Some people call a self-liquidating offer. It's basically the same kind of thing. What you're doing is you're offering a small chunk of value up front for very little money. Maybe if you're in e-commerce, this could be a free offer that they only pay shipping for. Or if you're in a B2B space, this could be a small piece of a service that you sell them just so they can get acquainted to it. This is the equivalent of going out for coffee and maybe a little bit after that, right? So this is kind of like a first date in the sense. You want to make sure that this date is highly desirable. So here's the things you need in this. You need this thing to have a low barrier of entry, meaning that there's not a lot of risk involved. It's very apparent. It's like, okay, if it backfires, I'm not going to have egg on my face. So that's what I mean, low barrier of entry. You want to make sure that it's useful. And we're going to talk later on in a different live about useful but incomplete. But right now, let's just concentrate on useful. So this needs to be something they can use immediately. Hopefully, ideally, it's something they can use right now to get what people call a small win or a little victory, meaning that they can get a little further down the path towards their ultimate goal. The next thing is it has to have a specific desired benefit, right? So those are important. Specific, so not just going to make you, it's not like vote for Pedro where all your dreams will come true. This is something very specific. Okay, this is also something highly desired by your market. This isn't something you want to push down their throats or you want to sell them. This is something they want, right? And that you're expressing as a benefit rather than a feature. Now, if you don't know about the difference between benefits and features, there's another live on this page. You can find out. We can't go into it right now. We don't have the time, but you want to look that up. You want to make sure you're always talking about benefits rather than just features. Okay. And the fourth thing, which is always forgotten for some reason, is it needs to be seamlessly integrated into what you're ultimately selling. So if you are selling your $10,000 coaching, that this low barrier entry thing that you're offering up front to new customers needs to be something that actually will lead further down the road to that $10,000 coaching session. That's what you want, right? If it's unrelated, it doesn't make sense. Right? Because they could buy it and they go, I'm good. When you came back and said, hey, do you want to take the next step? Just like in dating, you meet for coffee, then the next step could be you meet for dinner. Then the next step could be she meets your friends. The next step could be you go on a longer date. The next step would be going out for a weekend, meeting the parents, on and on and on. You get the idea, right? So this is what you're trying to do. It has to have these 4 things in it. There's a few more we add into it, but let's just start with this, okay? So what happens? How does this work? So someone comes to a page online where you have this offer, and you have it. We like to use videos. You don't have to. Highly recommend it, though, with an engaging headline that clearly states what this benefit is. What are they going to get if they buy this thing that you're selling them, this self-liquidating offer, right? When they give you their email address on that page, now you have the address. Now, so why don't you just put the buying page here? Because you need their email address. A lot of people will give you their email, go to the page and go, I don't know. I'm going to wait. So you want to make sure that you can follow up, and that's what these three little letter symbols are for. These are follow-up emails to encourage them to actually buy. When they put their name in here, they go into a shopping cart, and then you can have, these are optional, upsells, downsells. If you don't know what that is, that's a lot like what McDonald's says. When you want fries with that, that's an upsell, right? If you don't know, McDonald's makes about 40 cents on the actual burger with all the marketing that they do. When you go in, they make about 40 cents on that burger. So they really need you to buy fries and a Coke, and that's their upsell, right? A downsell, something different, we'll have to cover in a different live. Don't have time for it. And then from here, there's actually another, you would take them to a thank you page as well, okay? So this is what this looks like. This is a headline. This is the buying page, the shopping cart, the upsell, the downsell. Now in a second, I'm going to tell you about one of the most famous single liquidating offers or tripwires in all of history. But before I do, I want to remind you again, before I forget, if you want to talk about creating one of these for your company, definitely click on my appointment link on my Facebook page. We can have a free 15-minute strategy session about this. If you want to build this yourself, you're a do-it-yourself type person, you want to do this all and you want to do it in a month, click on that link above here. You will not be disappointed. And you'll get special tutoring one-on-one with Russell Brunson for 30 days. And he'll actually take you from A to Z and have you build one of these things. So anyway, let's go back to the story. So back, if you're over 40, you probably remember the Columbia Records company, right? That was the 13, first it was 13 albums, then it was 13 CDs for, you started out being a penny, then it was $1, right? You actually had to cut it out of the magazine and mail it in with your penny if you did this in the early 70s, or with your dollar if you did this in the 80s and 90s. And you got 13 or 12, whatever it was, CDs that came to your house for that dollar. An amazing value. See, and let's just check. Is it a low barrier to entry? Absolutely. You're just risking $1, right? Was it useful? Yeah, it was useful, especially if you wanted to collect records, right, or CDs. You wanted to have the cool music. That's super useful. Is there a specific desired benefit? Absolutely. How many people would love to this day to get well, now you can't even do that anymore, can you? Forget about that. But to get 13 things like that for $1 is an amazing deal. And four, was it seamless? Did it lead into their core offer? So for those of you who don't remember what their core offer was, it was a monthly subscription. Now you had to buy, to get this deal, you had to promise, I believe, to buy 2 records at full price, which was astronomical. It was close to $20 a CD in the next year. Most people bought a lot more. In fact, this was such a successful offer, the Columbia Record House offer, that I believe I've heard that it accounted for 15% of all record sales at its peak. 15%, that doesn't sound like 15%. That's just one company, 15% of the market that it has with one offer. It's the only thing it did was 13 CDs for $1. All right, so this is a really a quick way. This is to make sure that you're not asking for too much too soon, that you're actually getting what you want, and which is more customers in the door on a consistent basis. Because once this works, you're like Columbia House. Columbia House knew that they didn't care how much the advertising cost in the magazine, because they knew they were going to have a super high amount of people taking them up on that offer and sending them the money. And from that, they knew that they weren't going to lose money, even though it seemed like they would. They knew their numbers. You can know your numbers too. All right? So that's your tip. Think in terms of a self-liquidating offers. What do you have as part of your business already? What do you already do? A lot of times we'll look at something, a service that somebody has kind of in their main core offer, and we'll take that out of it and put it on the front end as either a free offer or a very low dollar offer to get people in the door. This works. All right? So listen, I want to thank you for watching today. And again, if you want a strategy session, if you want to talk about how this would work in your business, click on my Facebook page. You can even message me as well. If you don't want to schedule, message me. And if you want to learn how to do this yourself in 30 days, click on that link. Find out more about the 30-day challenge with Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels. All right, this is Kyle. Until tomorrow, remember, you're always just one advertising campaign away from the business of your dreams. I'll see you tomorrow.